Takes two strikes to knock the boat down to the bottom of the ocean. How is that a war crime?
The fact that it was 9.1% inflation, Trump brought it down to the 3% range.
Donald Trump went in pardon. He's walking free now. The former Honduran president who trafficked 400 tons of cocaine.
We have a couple clips to look at from Fox News The 5 with liberal Jessica Tarlov sparring with Kayleigh McEnany on the MAGA failures, controversies, and corruption. If you can, leave us a like on the video. It helps us out a ton. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers, and let's get right to the breakdown.
We know that this isn't a hoax because
no?
the best case scenario is that Admiral Bradley, who they're trying to put all the blame on, is the one who authorized the second lethal strike that took out these people who, again, it was a violation of the law that they were killed. We also know that the U.S. doesn't always do this, because there was another strike in the Caribbean back in September where a Colombian and an Ecuadorian person survived, and we repatriated them home. We didn't even take them to court here for the crimes that we knew that they'd committed. We sent them back to their home country. There is tons of reporting now. You want to call the Washington Post fake news, that's fine. The New York Times story, by the way, didn't exonerate them. We also have the Wall Street Journal saying that a DOD official says that Hegseth was the, quote, target engagement authority, so the guy in charge. We also know, writ large, that the story about this administration being focused on eradicating American society of drugs is absolute BS, because Donald Trump went in pardon. He's walking free now. The former Honduran president who trafficked 400 tons of cocaine into America.
The line the administration wants you to buy is that they had to bomb survivors clinging to wreckage in the water because of self-defense. This is after the fact that you also just have to accept that these people are who they say they are, despite no evidence given, no briefing to Congress, and Colombia saying that at least some were fishermen civilians. You also have to love MAGA having to totally eat its words here, trying to paint the left as drug trafficker lovers for years, of course, in a racist tirade against migrants and us, defending their rights, only for Trump to actually free a huge, like a massive drug smuggler into America because, backroom deals. Don't ask too many questions about it.
Takes two strikes to knock the boat down to the bottom of the ocean. How is that a war crime?
Well, it's a war crime, and we didn't play any Republicans, but there were plenty of them that have been talking about, like John Yoo, who was the architect of the Bush 9/11 response, was talking about this as well, that if there are people who are shipwrecked, which is what these two survivors were.
Survivors?
They survived the first strike.
Jessica. They're not survivors.
Okay.
They're victims.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
That's how the DOD manual says that you have to do it, that you have to take them, you should send a helicopter to get them out of there, and then you try them. Or international law also says that as well. You could play Roger Wicker talking about it, Senator Tom Tillis, Mike Turner. These are all Republicans saying it. So the narrative that this is about the left getting all hot and bothered about another hoax is absolutely ludicrous.
I mean, to be frank, it's a war crime, and they've admitted to doing it. They've admitted who's done it. Like, it's kind of bad, right? It's more than just, America's thinking they're above international law again, which is a common occurrence for Republicans, if we're being honest. This is cut and dry war crimes, like all the way up to the Rome Statute violation, clear cut of international law, the UN Charter, the Geneva Conventions, all the way up the ladder. And again, I feel like it's not being talked about enough. Colombia has credibly alleged at least 2 people in these strikes were civilians. That takes it to like ICC warrant levels, right? We have over 15 strikes that have been carried out, none of which have congressional oversight, approval, or even substantiation after the fact with evidence being shown. Multiple Republican senators have came forward and even said, well, we haven't even been briefed on this, of which would mean Trump is acting out of his bounds, even on a domestic law level, before we even talk about all the international law stuff.
You need to put these pieces together. The work that's been done on inflation, I mentioned gas prices, the fact that it was 9.1% inflation, Trump brought it down to the 3% range.
I think this really shows how desperate these people are and how they're getting. They're citing the 9% inflation that was caused by the pandemic, in which obviously was a global experience. Every country in the world faced it. Biden steered us out of that faster and stronger than any other country. And the upward trend for it started in 2020 under Donald Trump, and it peaked before any spending Biden signed into law went into effect. So what policy caused it, MAGA? I would love to know, of which, of course, also peaked at 9% back in 2022 and had been consistently coming down ever since, all because the actual data, this is why they're citing this number, the actual data shows inflation was under the economically desirable 3% when Biden left office, with wages outpacing them for over 2 years. only for it now to be on an upward trend and well over 3%. And MAGA hinged their entire economic talking points on inflation for 2 years, making it this boogeyman because there was nothing else for them to point to or really talk about. And they're now having to eat their words on it because MAGA policy is far worse for prices, because Republican policy historically has always been worse on prices.